So for those of you who saw my video, Why is Amber Heard an abusive narcissistic bitch? You might remember me mention that Amber's best friend died in a car accident when Amber was 16 years old, because among other things, I thought it could help explain why she was, you know, an abusive narcissistic bitch. And if you have mega chat energy and also watch my video Amber Heard and Patrick Bateman are the same person, you might remember me making this joke. And even though Amber hasn't killed anyone in real life like Patrick Bateman did in the film, or at least I don't think she has. And despite being pretty damn certain that there was no chance in hell that Amber had actually killed anyone, well, it turns out that I might have been wrong after all, as one of my viewers brought to light an insane rumor that, if true, would honestly explain a lot of things. That being that Amber was the one responsible for her best friend's death, because as the rumor goes, Amber was drunk and behind the wheel when the accident that took her best friend's life occurred, and upon further investigation, I could say that there is a lot of merit to this rumor, and I will explain my investigation step by step in this video. So the first thing that I did was Google Amber Heard vehicular manslaughter, as that was the exact terminology the viewer used in their comment, and I thought it lead to the best results. And I was honestly shocked at what I found, because other than finding pages and pages of search results discussing this rumor as I had predicted, I only found a single Reddit post discussing it, which itself included a mugshot of Amber dated back to December 9th, 2003, when Amber was only 17 years old, and a record of what supposedly shows Amber receiving a ticket for driving while her license was suspended on the very same day the mugshot was taken. Now before going balls deep, aka 4 inches deep into my investigation, the first thing that I did was make sure that this record was legitimate and not fabricated, and to do so I googled the cause number shown right here, only to find that the same crime was attributed to Amber Heard on multiple different websites, meaning that the record was in fact legit. So right away, two things stood out to me about this case. The first being what the ticket was for, because other than receiving a ticket for speeding or failing to stop at a stop sign, or something you'd honestly expect from an inexperienced teenage driver behind the wheel of a vehicle, Amber received a ticket for driving while her license was suspended, which means that her license had in fact been suspended in the past, which is surprising given that she was only 17 years old at the time. And the second thing that stood out to me is the fact that she was detained and that this mugshot exists, as you normally wouldn't be arrested for driving with a suspended license. Of course, you still don't want to drive with a suspended license, because if you get caught, you can get hit with hard fines and just add to your suspension. But therein lies the catch, however. An officer has to catch you driving the suspended license to know that you are driving with a suspended license, as they wouldn't pull you over for no good reason. Well, unless you're black, that is.
You know why I pulled you over?
Cause I was speeding?
No, cause you're black.
And considering that Amber's a white girl and not a black guy, this means that she was pulled over for a good reason. And what was that reason, you might ask? Well, that's the problem. Nobody knows. And by nobody, I mean nobody outside of Amber or the arresting officers or the courts or anyone else involved. This is because this incident happened when she was still a minor. And the second somebody turns 18, their juvenile record becomes sealed, meaning that any felonies they committed prior to the 18th birthday will be hidden and remain hidden unless a future case granting access to them occurs. And other than extreme cases like murder, this applies to all felonies, including DWIs and involuntary manslaughter to name a few. For example, if somebody's arrested for driving while intoxicated when they're 16 years old, it will show in their juvenile record until they're 18. But the second they turn 18, their juvenile record is sealed and the DWI will be hidden. However, if that same person is arrested for driving while intoxicated again in the future, say when they're 21, the prosecution can request that person's juvenile record be unsealed, in which case the DWI the person received when they're 16 will show up again on their juvenile record and will remain there forever. Because just like a can of Chef Boyardee's raviolis, the second you unseal a person's juvenile record, it can't be resealed. I hope that makes sense to everybody. This stuff is honestly really confusing, and I want everyone to be on the same page while watching this video. So tying all of this back into Amber, let's say that Amber was arrested for driving while intoxicated, which is very possible given that she was pulled over for some reason in the first place. The fact that she received a DWI would not show in her juvenile record, as DWIs are felonies, and her juvenile record is yet to be unsealed. However, the fact that she received a ticket for driving with a suspended license does show in her juvenile record, as driving with a suspended license is a misdemeanor rather than a felony, and unlike felonies, misdemeanors are not hidden from a person's juvenile record when it's sealed. So two questions arise from this. The first being, why was Amber pulled over when she received the ticket for driving with a suspended license? And the second being, why was Amber's license suspended in the first place? This leads me to this screenshot, which was also included in the Reddit post, which is the timeline of her driving with a suspended license misdemeanor, as the same cause number that I looked up earlier can be found here. The first listed event was on January 29th, 2004, in which it says CNV, original C&I doc filed, with CNV meaning convicted, C&I meaning charge and indictment, and doc meaning doc ock.
Hello, Peter.
No, I'm kidding, it means documents. Now, even though charged and indicted sound like one and the same, there is a key difference between the two of them, as charged just simply means that somebody's been convicted of a crime, whereas indicted means that somebody's been convicted of a serious crime. As I stated earlier, driving with a suspended license is a misdemeanor, and because so would not call for an indictment. So what was Amber Heard indicted on? Well, let's look at more context clues to find out, or to at least give ourselves a better idea as to what she was indicted on. The last listed event concerning this driving with a suspended license ticket was on November 8th, 2007, in which it says not, which is short for notes, followed by recall card issued. And even though the wording of this is strange, this means that a card, or in this case a driver's license, that was recalled, or in this case retracted, was issued, or in this case given to Amber. Or in other words, the driver's license that they retracted for Amber was given back to her on November 8th, 2007, 3 years and 11 months after being given the ticket for driving with a suspended license in the first place, meaning that her license was suspended for at least 3 years and 11 months, more likely at least 4 years. And even though penalties for crimes do differ from state to state, in general they are the same when regarding driver license suspension, and regardless of what state Amber lived in her case, Texas. Accumulating a 4-year suspension at only 17 years old is nothing short of fucking crazy, meaning that at the ripe age of 17 years old, Amber Heard managed to be a pretty big piece of shit. And who said she wasn't talented? So now that we know that Amber Heard has been a pretty big piece of shit since a young age, the next question is, what felonies did she commit to accumulate a 4-year suspension so quickly? So even though there are many crimes that could lead to one's driver license being suspended, even those that have nothing to do with driving a motored vehicle, accumulating a 4-year suspension so quickly is difficult to say the least. And because of that, the most logical next step to take is to look at the most serious offenses with the longest possible suspensions. According to this document provided by the Texas Department of Motor Safety, the two felonies that draw the longest possible driver license suspensions are intoxicated manslaughter and intoxicated assault, each having a max driver license suspension of 2 years, which means that Amber Heard almost guaranteed committed at least one of these felonies, if not both of them, considering Amber Heard's propensity for assaulting people.
I fucking was hitting you.
We can safely say that intoxicated assault is very much a possibility, because not only did she assault Johnny Depp on multiple occasions, but she assaulted her ex-girlfriend Tasia Van Ree as well, who she dated for 4 years before ever meeting Johnny Depp. And this leads us to the crux of the video, the meat and potatoes if you will. Did Amber Heard kill her best friend in a car accident when she was only 16 years old? Well, like I said earlier in the video, a person's juvenile record becomes sealed the second they turn 18, and unless their juvenile record is unsealed, there is no way of knowing what felonies they've committed prior to their 18th birthday. And because vehicular manslaughter would qualify as one of these hidden felonies, nobody can know for sure whether or not Amber Heard did kill her best friend in a car accident other than Amber herself, the responding police officers and paramedics, those working on the case, and those affected by the potential death. After all, we don't even know what her best friend's name was or what she looked like, as Amber only briefly mentioned her once during an interview in 2007. Maybe she's one of the girls pictured in this photo, maybe she's not. But giving Amber a benefit of the doubt that she honestly doesn't deserve, and assuming that she's telling the truth and that her best friend did die in a car accident when she was 16, this would place her best friend's death somewhere between 2002 and 2003, which is right where Amber's reign of terror occurred, in which she accumulated a 4-year suspension on her driver's license. Considering her history of lies and deception, we can't even 100% believe Amber when she says that her best friend died in a car accident, as it would be such an Amber thing to do, wouldn't it? To lie about her best friend dying in a car crash for sympathy points? But what is perhaps even more of an Amber thing to do is to tell people that her best friend died in a car crash for sympathy points, but keep the fact that she was the one responsible out of it. Just as how she gained sympathy points early on for the very few times Johnny Depp was aggressive towards her, when in reality Johnny was acting in defense against Amber's own abuse. So the only way we can know for sure whether or not Amber did kill her best friend in a car crash is if her juvenile record is unsealed, which will not happen in the current Depp versus Heard case, as both parties are suing each other for defamation and libel, and none of them are actually being prosecuted for any criminal offenses such as abuse. However, if enough evidence that Amber did in fact abuse Johnny Depp is accumulated, it is very possible that one, if not multiple jurisdictions pursue criminal charges against her, and if the lawyers representing one of these jurisdictions request her juvenile record be unsealed, and if the request is granted, then her juvenile record would become available for the whole world to see. And even though that was a lot of ifs I just listed, it's very possible that this series of events will happen in the near future. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this rumor has very little exposure at this moment in time, and it's possible that people working closely on the case have not heard about it. The whole point of unsealing someone's juvenile record is to help prosecutors in their prosecution. So if this rumor is brought to light, it could very well make the difference between Amber being incarcerated for her crimes or avoiding jail time altogether, because at the very least she assaulted someone when she was drunk, which will help prosecutors in their prosecution that Amber's an abuser, and at worst she killed her best friend in a car accident, which will just go to show Amber's true character. It would show that she thought it was okay to drive drunk with her best friend in the passenger seat, knowing full well that she was risking her life, her best friend's life, and other people's lives as well. And speaking of true character, if you guys really want justice for Johnny Depp like you say you do, then you will do everything in your power to get this video out. So like, comment, share. It hardly takes any time to do all three, and it's the least you could do to get justice for Johnny Depp and Amber's many other victims. I made this video for Amber's victims and no one else, and because so, I can safely say that I've done my part in helping Johnny Depp get the justice he deserves. Now it's time to do yours.